have this tight place on Bourbon Street. It's called Pretzels, I believe, and it's like a regular dive bar on first glance. And you'll go in, and you go up to the bartender, and you say, "The vampire sent me," and she'll show you to a door, and you go up the stairs, and it's a vampire speakeasy on the second floor. It's all like purpled out, lavender sofas, and they specialize in absinthe drinks. So go check that out for sure. We'll go check it out whenever we go to New Orleans.
Cool.
Yeah,
That I want to do.
yeah, it's pretty tight. They have all kind of cool little, like, I love a theme bar. That's my thing.
Yeah.
If I'm going somewhere, going out, I love going to like a theme place, like the Dungeon, for instance.
I've been there once.
I love that place. It's themed, and it looks sketchy right when you walk in because it's very narrow, but it's so cool once you're inside.
So what's the vampire place called?
Pretzels.
And what's another one? They have the Dungeon. They have Pretzels. Don't they have another?
There's a place called Bar Marilou that's in the CBD. That's more. Everything's all red, like it's velvet. Everything's red. It looks really cool.
What's the crazy stuff behind that?
No, it's just a cool bar.
Oh, okay.
It's just themed. It's like it's French style. Everything's like Napoleon French and big bookshelf. It's very swanky. I like it. It's fun. It's a good date spot.
I want to do the vampire bar. There's people that, I mean, maybe they are, but they really think they're vampires.
In 2010, the census had 52.
They claimed it?
52 people confirmed vampires in the French Quarter.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wild. That they drank blood. It's mostly animal blood. They say, you never know, but there's some people that
I thought there was groups that they were like, I'll cut you, you cut me, and I'll give you a little bit of my blood.
I never heard any of that, but they got all kind of vampire stories, especially like in the French Quarter. Cuckoo vampires. They have a few. Oh, in fact, let me try to find this one.
I turned my phone off. I don't know why you're trying to Google stuff right now, but
To get a story right,
sorry,
Andre, I don't just ramble on.
Cheating. That's why he sounds so smart. He's like, yeah, and oh yeah. You know what? There is. I was doing a little bit of research the other day, and there was a house, and Laveau. Does that ring a bell? The Laveau house. It's some chick that the house caught on.
Marie Laveau,
Boom.
like the witch lady, the voodoo priestess.
No, it was okay. I'm thinking of the wrong one. It was a lady that had some slaves, and one of the slaves was so like bummed out, she caught the house on fire, and that's how the people found out.
Yeah, that's Marie, the Madame Lalaurie.
That's it.
Yeah, Delphine Lalaurie.
Delphine, the Delphine house. That's what it's called, right?
No, it's just a Lalaurie mansion. That's what they'll call it. They have it like an American Horror Story. That was one that they had like an whole episode about that. What about it?
I just wanted to know about it. Whenever I heard about it, I'm like, Kyle will know.
Oh well, I mean they have all kind of stories that'll come around like that because they say that's the most haunted place in the French Quarter. But like the story goes is that she had a big party one night and a fire started. So she, instead of like getting and just ending the party, she tells everybody just that we're going to continue on outside. So they take the brass band or whatever, the band, puts them in the street, and they continue on partying outside. And the firefighters get there, and they putting out the fire while this party's going on outside. Well, the firemen go to every room in the house just to make sure everything's out. They get to this room that's barricaded. They break through, and it was their room of horrors. What they would do to just to. Because her husband was a doctor, so he'd do all kind of these experiments on
they were
slaves.
Like hanging people and cutting them open, pulling their guts out and stuff.
Yeah, real macabre stuff.
Jeez.
Like just turning people into worms, human worms, and just
weren't
doing
they like sewing their mouths shut and sewing their eyes shut?
All just crude experiments on these slaves. Now, they started taking these bodies out in front of the guests in the street. And slowly people are like, what the fuck, So it kind of, these people started to start into like a little mob against her. Well, they rich as shit, so the police there kind of barricade these people from attacking them. They run into the house, get their shit, put it in the carriage. They leave to go to the port. She stops the carriage outside the house as the police are stopping this mob. She gets out the carriage, just waves at the crowd, gets in the carriage, goes to the port, never comes back to New Orleans, never seen again. Supposedly she dies in France, in Paris.
That's crazy. So she just basically said "fuck you" to everybody.
Pretty much. The parish bought it, and they turned it into like an orphanage for kids, and they cleaned everything out, or they thought, and kids started hearing like noises and stuff. They couldn't go to sleep, and then like I think one of the nuns saw a man walking down the stairs, just bleeding and in chains, and she freaked out. It was a spirit, and she just freaks out, runs away. But that prompted them to renovate it, and so the parish sold it. Somebody else bought it. A private contractor bought it, I think. But then they did renovations on it. They lifted the floorboards
and found more bodies.
They found the scratch marks on the bottom of the floorboards, and then the skeletons. They were still alive.
Holy shit! So they were buried alive under the floor.
Yeah.
Wow. When did they do the renovations and found all that?
Oh, this was like 30-something years, I believe, after the fact.
You know what's something weird I found already? I found 2 sets of handcuffs. Not handcuffs, like the little crimp that would go around your ankle with a chain, like a ball and chain.
Okay. Where you found that?
I found one in Thibodeau at a plantation, and I found another one in like basically a cane field. But I don't know if there was a plantation at a time or.
No, it had to have been if it was just right there. Then, that's wild. I mean, you find all kind of stuff out there, bro.
I brought one home, and the other one I just left.
Mm-hmm.
Felt creepy.
No shit.
Knowing that they probably, after a long days of work, they just clamp you in, and you gotta sleep the night with a chain attached to your leg.
Yeah. You can imagine all that kind of stuff, just doing all this kind of activities with all that, the bondage and stuff on it.
What's weird is that's only 3 grandpas ago.
Mm-hmm.
You say 150 years ago, but when you think about it, like, my grandpa's grandpa, it's not that long ago.
Mm-hmm. No, not at all.
To know the type of lifestyle we were living, where you could literally go murder somebody and definitely get away with it. Because there was a good chance of you if you had a bataille.
Well, yeah, you can easily murder somebody and get away with it. They had the most lynchings in the United States. Number 2 is Lafourche Parish.
Really?
Yes. And it was mostly in Thibodeau. Pretty much.
You heard about the mass grave that's in Devil's Swamp, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's from the Thibodeau massacre.
That was the biggest massacre, right?
Yeah, well, the labor union, and then the same thing. I mean, at the same time, you'll have these...
That was right after the Civil War, when they changed the laws where black people couldn't own property, you couldn't do a couple things, which basically kept them basically in the same spot they were, except they didn't belong to anybody, paying them 10 cents a day. But they had that strike, and it was like 127 people they shot and killed.
Yeah, it was a lot. And, yeah, because that was, like you said, it was about 20-something years after the Civil War. 20, and that's when right after they were done the token system, and it was all like sharecropping and just servitude, all this kind of stuff going on. And yeah, I mean, it was a point that they were making lynching postcards, bro. Like, they would sell postcards of people hanging and these people posing in front of them. And it was like a spectacle. People would just come and just see that.
I've seen that. Like, everybody just poses in the front.
Yeah, it's disturbing to really see, that they would have that. And you look at the top, the top 5 places in the country with the most lynchings, Lafourche Parish being number 2, The top, the rest beneath, all Louisiana parishes.
What was number one?
It was in Arkansas, and not too. I mean, it's right up the road. You know, it was Arkansas, Lafourche, I think like Ouachita, Tensas or whatever. And there's a map. If you Google it, you'll see it. But I mean, that's that kind of shit. You'll see that more violence and lynchings and stuff after the Civil War. You don't see that prior to the war. You know, because you'll see these Confederate sympathizers, these white supremacists, stop actively attacking the Union with force and guns, and they just take a step back and they run for office, political power. So years after, you'll have this governor of a state who has a ex-Confederate on his resume, you know, and then that's when you'll have Jim Crow laws and stuff that'll come in.
And another thing people don't realize is the number of plantations you see today is just a fraction. It's probably less than 10%. Because I've seen some hand-drawn maps that I have copies of that are from 1810 to about 1830. And there were plantations. They would give them ribbon strips of land. I don't know if you ever heard that.
Yeah.
Which is basically a couple hundred yards wide directly into the marsh off Bayou Lafourche. So Bayou Lafourche on either side, you'd get a ribbon strip of land going straight to the back. You'd put your plantation. You'd have your workers' houses near yours, and then the land would go straight to the back. Mm-hmm. So, like when I'm metal detecting, I know stay within 100 yards of Bayou Lafourche because that's where the most activity was. But they had plantations from all the way from the Mississippi River all the way down to Cutoff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, with the river, it was whatever land you bought. So the more expensive land was touching the riverfront, and it got cheaper as you go back. So, like even when you look at, I'm sure it was probably the Persac map. That would be, you'll see a lot of them that are more trapezoidal, that'll go back like this, with a little bit touching the river. That was more expensive, but you got to get your cargo out. Several thousand plantations in Creole, Louisiana. Because, I mean, you got roughly like 700 just between Baton Rouge and New Orleans alone. In like, I want to say like 1840, 1845. And that's not to mention, they had 3 on Grand Isle. They had up into Cutoff, mostly it was all sugar cane. You can't grow like cotton or tobacco.
It's crazy they grew sugar cane on Grand Isle. Yeah. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. They even had, they did a dried form of cotton, but it's very rare to grow, because normally cotton can't grow in the heat and humidity down here, but it was like some kind of, my agriculturist and my botanist out there is gonna know more about it than I do, but they have that just random form of cotton, and they grew it for a little while on the island, but it's mostly sugarcane.
Right.
At one point, I think the most productive plantation was Barataria Plantation with I want to say like 789 hogsheads a year, something like that, which is a lot. 780,000 pounds of sugar a year, which is wild.
That's weird that along Bayou Lafourche, whenever I go do my detecting, every once in a while I'll find one of those brick pillars, and that's what it was. It was hand worked cranes, right, to offload and load.
Okay, well, I didn't know if that's if that what you were talking about, or if that was if you just meant like you'd find the chimneys, you know, from the old plantation.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they'll just collapse, and they take all that out, and it's just the brick chimney.
Right.
That stands.
When the Union came through, and believe it or not, the Union and the Confederates were burning down plantations, because there's a story right by Lafourche.
I believe it.
Yeah. The Confederates knew where the Union Army was, but didn't have clear shots with their rifles and cannons. So at night, they went burn down the plantations. That way in the morning, they could have clear shots to shoot at the Union Army.
Did it work?
No.
Nope.
No, there was that massacre. Huge massacre at the Lafourche Crossing.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the creepiest place I've ever metal detected, knowing that so many people, over 200 people died there. So
Yeah. Man, come with me to the Honey Island, bro.
Yeah.
That's going to be the most creepiest place you ever metal detect. We'll go at a certain time. It was even creepy in the day. I guess it was just the what I was doing out there. Like, you kind of put yourself in the mindset of some of these people that go out into the swamp and they look for stuff. And, you know, I wasn't really looking to find anything. I was just going in there to tell people about some folklore. And I still felt a little creepy. It always feels like someone's watching you when you're in the thicket of it. Because we weren't just like on the outskirts. We went as far as we could in to where we can get as many of the indigenous trees and stuff. Because there's no other place like the Honey Island Swamp in terms of vegetation. It's a specific looking swamp. So we wanted to get in there, and they have banana spiders all over the place. You have to get a big old stick and you just wagging all over the place. We got all that footage on our Patreon, you can be able to check it out.
Because that's the worst thing is when you're driving your 4-wheeler and all of a sudden you go through that.
Shoot me. Yeah. Shoot me in the face. I'd rather that than those banana spiders on me.
Immediately you let go your throttle and you're searching your whole body because you know that sucker's crawling and he's going straight for your neck.
Mm-hmm. And he's going to bite your jugular and he's going to take you down.
Do you know that banana spiders are like super lethal, right?
Not lethal.
They're poisonous.
I didn't think they were like lethal. I thought
poisonous.
they were. Oh, I know they're poisonous, but lethal means it's gonna kill you. Like a.
Their fangs are too small to puncture human skin.
I thought they hurt. Like it hurts like a motherfucker.
I think it's like super poisonous.
No, you're thinking of a daddy long legs.
Daddy long legs are not poisonous.
They are. They're highly venomous.
Really?
Their teeth are not strong enough to puncture human skin.
I think I've eaten those. I'm telling you.
All right. Well, you heard it here. Rattlesnakedre is not deterred by these daddy long leg spiders.
So tell me more about the Honey Island. I don't know any history behind the Honey Island. All I know is the creature that roams around that area.
Well, yeah, that's the main point about it.
Let's not say the B word right at first. Let's kind of walk into it.
All right.
You know what the B word is, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because that'll throw people off and they'll be like, oh, okay, that's bullshit.
That was the B word.
Bullshit? Okay.
So
let me just tell you what I know and then you can just go ahead off of that.
That would be great. Yeah.
Okay, so I heard a story that there was an older man that was hunting in the honey swamp. Right?
Honey
Island swamp. Thank you. Kyle knows everything. Anyway, he came across and there's actually footage of it, right?
Yeah, they had like Super 8 footage from this guy. They had Harlan Ford and his friend Billy Mays. They went out and they went randomly out in the swamp. I think they were just going fishing or something, and they saw it. And then they saw it again in the 70s. But then they went back and they caught a footprint of it, and they put that little cast on it, and they claim to have seen it. But Harlan Ford dies, and I believe his daughter goes into the attic and she finds a box. She does interviews, I believe, too. We should get her on one of these days. That would be fucking tight. That basically found this Super 8 footage of the fucking monster, the Honey Island Swamp monster.
But there's video footage, right? So
yeah, that's what I just said.
Okay.
It's kind of footage.
I didn't know what you were talking about. So the only two options is either they fake that footage, or that was definitely something that we don't know about.
Right. It's either real or they got a ghillie suit and did it, and he was like, "Nah, Billy, this looks fucking stupid. Let's not show anybody." And then they hide it in the attic, and then the finds it, or it's a real thing. And like, I'm not gonna show this. Nobody's gonna believe me. Which, you know,
it's weird that if it was fake, they would have showed it. If they just took the video and then tucked it away.
Mm-hmm. Now, another guy, Ted Williams. I did my research. The guy's dead, but then there's always people in the comments that say, no, he's not dead. My brother saw him. That was the neighbor. No, the guy's dead. All right. Now, how he dies is, I don't know. But all the research I've done says that he goes in that swamp after he says that he claims, hey, I saw multiple creatures. I went in there, I saw a few Honey Island swamp monster. And he said if he wanted to, he could have shot him. But he didn't, because they didn't seem to want to hurt him. They didn't pose a threat to him, so he didn't do anything. So he leaves and goes into the swamp, then he dies.
Can you imagine the dick?
That's the main thing they say is the smell. They can smell it first before they see it. And it smells like swamp ass. But it's like it's tall, gray, matted hair with yellow eyes, and the whole legend of it is that
high cholesterol. That's where the yellow
high
eyes.
cholesterol. I'm sure it has diabetes, but at the same time, you have monkeys and alligators having sex. That's what it comes from.
That's what the Rougarou was supposed to be?
The Honey Island swamp monster.
No, I'm just saying I had watched one of your episodes.
The Honey Island swamp monster. I did the Rougarou one today. We filmed it today. We didn't.
Okay.
The Honey Island swamp monster is chimps and alligators mated, and after a train. So a train wrecks into the swamp, and this is like in the 1920s. And it was a traveling circus on a train, and these monkeys got out, and they just go into the swamps and start interbreeding with these alligators, and the Honey Island swamp monster comes to be. Now, another legend said that it was just medical experiments that they were doing, probably Ashna, doing some random shit, and tossing whatever mongoloid creature into the marsh, and then out comes this creature that's half monkey, half alligator,
So realistically, if this creature was walking out there, what do you think it is personally?
Well, I mean, it's described as people said that they've seen it. Take that advice.
Alligator and a monkey.
It's a 7-foot tall ape-like creature, but it's been described more as like a monkey that's adapted to the swamp. It has no alligator-ish features other than its eyes, and that its ape-like face kind of protrudes a little bit more than an ape would, but not by much. But again, it's all like long gray matted hair. It has a little bit of a tail. I mean, you could see some of it. They'll have some crude drawings of it, but I mean, I think that's what it looks like, and that's terrifying, regardless. And then we went in the day too. Doing this, I was more afraid of the spiders and the snakes, but you never know. It just always feels like someone's watching you.
We're looking at a picture that looks creepy as fuck. That looks like just an old man that's been in the woods for 200 years. That's stupid.
It's really good though. that right there. That's horrifying to see that.
This looks exactly like what you're talking about.
Yeah,
alligator.
That's what I would think it is. That shit, when it comes to Louisiana Dread doing these episodes, and we do the episode on that. That's the actual model base of what I wanted the creature outfit to look like. To have those features, because there's also the other kind, but I don't think that looks as good as the other.
Listening to Ghosts of the Coast, a DSR production. Tune in every Sunday for new episodes.